welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and welcome to the Cyberpunk Community Podcast episode 74. Now, today with us, we don't have Mad Queen. She's going to take a break until next week, but starting from the left, we have Subsidian from the Triple S League.
Hello, everybody.
And also the Neon Arcade.
Yo, how's it going?
Well, it's been a hectic week, wasn't it? We had a bit of a news. Yeah, we had a little bit of a news, which was great, especially to see another perspective from the art team, which was really cool to read about. And just before we begin, I do apologize for the quadras in the background. I have to keep my window open because it's really hot. Yeah, don't even mention the AC during the microphone. So we have
I like how it was synced up with the Quadra gameplay in the background. That's like blurred.
I mean, and the worst
That's
thing
always
is,
drag.
right now it's happening. Like they know, like he's gonna start streaming. Let's do it.
Yeah, they just want to mess you up.
Yeah, we don't have the naked man in this podcast, so we'll see how this one pans out. But don't worry, guys, we have the backup. So if anything happens, we'll be covered. So don't worry about that. Yeah. So the first thing I want to touch on maybe during this week, which we kind of started out, was the PlayStation magazine. And they actually had a really nice conversation with the art team regarding the fashion, regarding the weapons and everything. So maybe the first thing I want to talk about, and I don't think we actually discussed this topic a lot, but fashion and how important it is in the world of Cyberpunk, because as one of the art team members said, they have like three pillars: the architecture, the overall vibe, and then the fashion, which is important for the world itself, which is important for NPCs. We're going to be seeing different NPCs during the day and during the night, which is really cool. I mean, this dynamic. So what do you guys think about that?
I found it interesting how I mean, jumping from The Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk, they found it a little bit easier in some senses designing the clothing. But at the same time, they wanted to remove a lot of the seams and the zippers and stuff like that to make the clothes look more manufactured. I thought that was really interesting, as well as the color combinations. Like they had a little bit of issues with the color combinations. They found that a struggle, which I found kind of cool because I mean, there's so many different colors, so I get it. But jumping from The Witcher, it's a huge jump in terms of what the characters are wearing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you just look at, I'm just looking at the avatars we have, like with V and then Geralt, and just the different materials they use.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, our profile pictures look pretty similar, to be honest. Look at the scowl on their faces too.
They're both angry.
You copy me, bro?
I mean, God damn it! I've been okay, guys. This is the last podcast. Last podcast. We're done.
Geralt is a simple V knockoff. Let's be honest here.
Oh my God.
So about the clothes, something that's really interesting, because I mean, you're gonna have the old-fashioned stuff in there too, and we've already kind of seen that. But some of the, like, I'm expecting and hoping that some of like the high-end like clothing, like the awesome like top-end stuff that the people are using in in the upper, the corpo, high-end corpo stuff. This is something that I know is on its way. Would be 3D printed clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, it's an interesting concept for me to kind of like look at and say, gosh, we're getting kind of close to that point where some suits would be 3D printed to perfectly fit you and have absolutely no seams. Like that in and of itself is crazy.
Yeah.
Not having any seams or anything like that, but then also not having like, just having something like that's the 3D printed format is something that's very interesting to me, because there's always some clothes that I've looked at and thought about before. I may or may not have designed clothing at some point, but the seams always got in the way of some stuff.
Yeah.
And I was always attracted by this idea and this concept of the seamless clothing, and and I think that it started from the old like Next Generation,
Hmm.
um, Star Trek, is that there was always something that seemed to be pretty unique there. So,
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
I mean, if you can 3D print your own guns like you can with, I think the lore book referenced a take home 3D print it yourself kit for some of the weapons, for the budget arms weapons, I believe. So if you can do that with weapons, why not with clothing? Only makes sense.
yeah.
No. It's only a matter of time until it becomes a reality, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Because that's what it is. I don't know how much you follow. I don't want to go too far into fashion. I don't follow fashion, but I follow the business behind it, and it's just gonna be a thing of the future. When
Hmm.
machines take over, it's gonna be easier to print because, well, it is what it is. People need clothes, and now you have knockoffs which are happening
Hmm.
everywhere. It's just how it is. The industry works that way. But yeah, before we continue, thank you everyone really for coming to the stream. Like there's a lot of repeating names, a lot of new people. So for all of you that don't know, we have this podcast every single week. It's on each and four of our channels. Every week it rotates, and we take questions from the community, and we also talk about the game. We talk about the recent news, so that's it. And also, everyone, please, I hate to ask this, but it's just the YouTube algorithm. If you can, please click that like button. All right.
Hmm.
Now, someone asked, oh, I'm sorry, did you actually want to say something?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, no, no. I'm good.
Oh, yeah,
I'm good.
okay. We had a thing. Did you guys see the neural link? Yeah, we did. This world is becoming cyberpunk already. We were talking about that. Like, yeah, we're kind of living in that world, but we're just missing the cybernetics. And don't worry, Elon got us covered.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It's, I mean, it's one of these things where this is technology where there's a lot of technology that was invented that didn't really have like people sitting down and trying to figure out how to do something in particular. It
Yeah.
was people tweaking things, just random things, and then coming up with the solution or like the addition of what they thought. Like nobody set out to make the iPhone the iPhone. They were just taking the basic concept of a mobile phone from the old Nokia and BlackBerry days and saying, how can we improve upon this? How can we take something that already functions, and in unfortunately for the stockholders and people that worked at BlackBerry, were like, they were saying, oh, we have taken the phone to the absolute pinnacle of what it can do. Idiots. It's like, uh-huh. Then the iPhone came out, I think it was 6 months later after they said that, after their one of their leads at the company said that. Oh, there's
Hmm.
nowhere we can take the mobile phone. The mobile phone has already evolved to the pinnacle of what it could possibly evolve to. And then they, of course, iPhone came out and destroyed them. The only reason why BlackBerry exists today is because they did happen to have a much more secure network, and that network of systems and tools work for like governments better, governments and military better. So there's still places in the world that you can go only if you have a BlackBerry, and you cannot have you can't have an iPhone or an Android in there because they're just not secure enough for certain things and stuff. So,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but this is one of these scenarios where it's like we're really like they're chasing after the concept of a neural link, and there's a bunch of ideas that people have and a bunch of concepts that people want to go for, and it's not just Elon Musk, it's also I can't remember how to pronounce his name, uh, God, the God from Steam, that guy, Gabe Newell. So I wanted to call him Gav for some reason. But yeah, Gabe and a bunch of other people, they know what they want. They want a system in which we can basically, you know, have a mind tap into a living, breathing world, and then have that living, breathing world become, like something that they can interact with on a continual basis. So kind of like a dream, but not quite there. 100% lucid, 100%, you know, created by a developer or somebody that's coding the room, and where we will get or what we'll get out of that, we don't quite know yet,
No.
because that's one of the things where it's like, oh, are we going to get something that we think we're going to get, or are we going to get something that is nothing like what we thought we were going to get, and the technology is going to move in a different direction? Because again, it's like that happens a lot. You know, people were searching for heart medication and they came up with Viagra. So, you know, you never quite know. You never quite know what you're going to get when you start muddling about with stuff. So, yeah, it's something that I'm really interested in seeing how this progresses, and hopefully we get this sorted out to a level that we can actually have like full dive and then full upload at some point would be nice too.
Yeah.
It's very Ready Player One. Very Oasis
Yeah.
like. But yeah,
And
the Neuralink thing is cool. It's like I was reading something. It was like you can summon your Tesla car with the Neuralink implant, and I was just thinking, yeah, you can do that in Cyberpunk too. It sounded exactly the same. Like
get
it
stuck
could have
on
been.
a
You could
tree.
have replaced. Yeah, you could have replaced that sentence with like a developer from CDPR, and you'd think they're talking about Cyberpunk 2077.
It is surreal. It's moving a lot faster than I anticipated. But when we come to this point, it's like, all right, now it's becoming reality. Who's gonna do it first?
Well,
Yeah.
definitely Elon.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a wild thing. But I'm sure in like the 10 years, our lives are gonna be much different. Just mark my words. The world is gonna change completely. Just look at how far we came from like 2010. If you compare that to like 2020, it's insane.
Yeah, and
Insane.
technology is exponential. It grows exponentially. It's not linear.
Mm-hmm.
It just shoots up there.
True, true. All right. Now, we have another question, and something I actually wanted to talk about. Anhav Khan says, some already disappointed with the number of base model cars. Okay, so what was, the number was like, what, 29?
29, yeah.
29 of base vehicles, and by that it means like the base factory vehicle, and of course like people can be disappointed, but it means that there are more variations of those cars. As they said, there's going to be street version of the car, there's going to be those rundown versions of the car with solar panels on top, you know, necessity over style kind of a thing. So don't worry, everyone. There's gonna be enough vehicles. We already saw a bunch of car manufacturers, some from before, some new. So I'm
Yeah.
sure on that front, it's gonna be fine. Yeah.
And the variants look pretty substantially different because they showed the one quadra vehicle, and the shell might look similar. It's the same shape, but the Nomad and the regular street version, they look quite considerably different. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Yeah. And of course, whenever you have people actually designing each and every single version of that car, it can be more detailed. So in a sense, which can be more interesting, you know. I always found it nice when, you know, interior is also good, because okay, some games don't really focus on the interior so much. It's not the focus of the game, but I really like it here because it's not only the exterior, you know. Like some games, you have amazing vehicles, amazing chassis or whatever, you go inside to the interior and like every wheel is the same, or there are no details, and we all know that every car has something, you know. People are going to put something in that vehicle, so it is going to be different in that sense. So for me, that's nice. That's a nice, how they say, alternative for us not being able to customize the vehicles.
Yeah, and I'd imagine they put a lot of effort into those interiors just because you can switch from first person to third person. So the outside and the inside has to, you know, have some sort of congruency in its design. So I mean,
course.
people are still disappointed about 29 vehicles. That's, I mean, you're allowed to be disappointed. You're allowed to have your opinion, but we don't know how many variants they're gonna be and how many. They mentioned countless variants, obviously, but
Yeah.
you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one thing that I want to point out is that we do have more or less a confirmation now that we're going to have some. We may not be able to mod in a mod where you can design and modify your own game, your own car within the game, and add this and add that. But what we do know right now is that from a modder's perspective is we're going to have a lot of people pumping out their own cars and versions of their own cars, just like you have in Skyrim, where people are pumping out, houses and stuff like that, and apartments and stuff like that. I think it's going to be quite clear that we're going to have a whole litany of, actually, mounts is probably a better, more apt version of that. But yeah, we're going to have a long lineup of vehicles and cars and stuff like that that is going to give you that, is going to fill that desire that you have to, like, have your own custom car that none of your friends use, because there probably will be, within the first year alone, I'm gonna guess that they're probably gonna be in the hundreds, definitely in the hundreds of user created car models and stuff like that, and it'll be alterations and whatever. And then at some point, I suspect probably after the first or second expansion, we will get that. We will get people making a mod, or CDPR will do it themselves, where you can then customize your own car within the game.
Yeah. Of course, that's why we're such huge advocates for mods, because you have people who play the game, who are good with coding, with programming, with putting stuff in games, with creating games in the first place, because every single one of those modders that creates amazing mods is, for me, a fully fledged person to work on a game, because it's not an easy thing to create. I mean, you have obviously tools to do it, but so do developers that work with an engine. So of course, that's why we want the mods, because they're going to fill in everything that I guess it's lacking, because not a company cannot put everything in the game. There's also time management, resources, how much money you can spend per project, so you don't run your company into the ground. There is a risk factor, of course, into that, but yeah. So we
I think the best example of a gaming company that is attempting to add in everything they want to add into a game is probably Star Citizen. This game's been under,
it ever comes out,
how many years now, and they just keep going back and saying, oh, we're gonna add this now we're gonna add this, now we're gonna add more of this, now we're gonna add more of this. And at no point like, we've had entire games like be pitched from a basic idea, get a vertical slice, go into alpha, go into beta, release, and then basically power down, essentially, in the term of, like, how popular is it now, and that kind of stuff. That started after that game got started, and it's been so long, it's been so much, and it's been so much constant, like, evolving the idea and trying to cram in more and more and more and more, and ultimately you end up not getting the game, period, which, I mean, is what I think we're really looking at that with that one. It's just we're not getting it, guys. We're not getting it. I hate to burst your bubble, but
many games fell into the water because many projects fell into the water because they're too ambitious. Ambition is good, but for as long as it doesn't ruin the project. Obviously, I can, when you're, for example, as a producer, like during your projects, during your, let's say, tests, you're gonna be given, okay, let's say, let's make a project. You have unlimited money. Let's see what you can do. And then you write all of these things, and then they're like, well, reality hits. Now you have to cut this, cut this, cut this. So you try to find the best formula and the best way to do a project with the money you have. Obviously, they were lucky because The Witcher sold like hotcakes, so they were able to extend the development. But yeah, obviously, and it makes sense that they work longer on games. I mean, because those games then are gonna be played for years, and they can focus on other projects. The worst thing that can happen is people get bored of your game, so you don't have constant cash flow, and that basically ruins companies.
Well, there's so much hidden stuff in there too, isn't that? There's a YouTuber, Exlatalis, and he keeps finding new rare dialogues in The Witcher 3, and the game's been out for what, 5 years at this point?
Yeah.
And he's still going through and finding unique little Easter eggs, or not even Easter eggs, just things that were programmed into the game that no one has even seen, or no one took the time to go and look for. Yeah.
Big shout out to him. He's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, this game is gonna. Miles was mentioning that he remembers everything that from The Witcher 3 during development, and in this game he goes into it and he's discovering new things, and he worked on the game. He's a developer. So I mean,
I mean,
we're gonna be playing this all the time.
you ask them now, like how, like what does the game have? Like we don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff here. Well, that's one of these things that I've talked about this quite a bit about the actual like alteration, the direction that we're heading in game development, where you're going to be utilizing AI and voice prints to make to write a huge chunk of story and content that are going to be put into the game, and you're not even going to know everything that's in the game, and this is going to be I don't know how the like it's going to have to get quite intelligent, because depending on the AI that you're using, you might get stuff that you weren't necessarily expecting. It's like, what happens when you let the algorithm run wild, absolutely wild, and say, yeah, put in whatever you want that you think is popular. You get Elsa and Spider-Man fighting like who was it, Doctor Doom or something like that? No, it wasn't Doctor Doom. It was Wario or something. It's just creepy and weird and nonsensical, but it's if you let the algorithm absolutely run rampant, that's what you get.
That reminds me of that dude who created an AI and forced that AI to watch like hours and hours of Trump what were the conferences or something like that, and then create a story out of it.
Well, I mean, in any of the scenarios that they've done that same thing, because they've done that with Mario. There's one that Ash was telling me about. I'm pretty sure it was Mario, where they just made the AI read that, and then, I mean, they even did it with Cyberpunk, like just taking all the news articles from Cyberpunk and basically lined it up and said, what is, create your own thing from this, and it just kind of reads it off, and it sounds, for the first like minute, it sounds like, oh yeah, wait, there's something weird. And now the police are coming. Oh dear.
No, we're adding effects now. We're a Night City, boys.
Damn it, I feel left out now. Gonna have sounds of someone getting beat up in the background of my stream.
Oh boy. I just wanna answer this quick thing. So yes, Cyberpunk is gonna have free DLCs and paid expansions like it was with The Witcher, and the reason why they differentiate the two is simply because of, let's say, the good old days. Because I mean, they kind of focus their entire development is like how games were actually made, like before, during the golden age, in my opinion, of gaming. Now it's not the golden age of gaming, far from it. Maybe in some instances, but overall as an industry, no. But yeah, so DLCs, downloadable stuff, free stuff, some quests, maybe some armor, who knows, whatever, outfits, whatever, like it was for The Witcher. And then expansions, which actually expands the game. It expands the base game, and that's why they're called that way. So yeah, that's basically it around that. And also one more thing which has been asked a lot, and something that we talked about. So Philip Weber was actually talking to Russian audiences, answering questions. I definitely recommend watching that video. It's also linked on my Twitter and I believe on Neon's as well, so you can check it out there.
Yeah.
I will actually try and post a link now. So regarding the wanted system, which has been cleared out, so you will be able to start stuff in Cyberpunk. So you can go out, start shooting at people, whatever you want, like that's okay. But they won't let you do that for a very long time. So this tells me that the police and the Psycho Squad will be extremely deadly, which is going to be probably higher levels, augmentations, whatever. Here's a link, by the way. So that sort of stuff. And once you die in the game, once you get flatlined, you have to load in the game again. So that's it, like end for you if you're dead. That's it. In some cases, of course, there's gonna be some things like where you don't die, but those are story missions, story moments. Of course, he didn't want to go into that, but there's gonna be some differences. But the overall, if it's your mistake, you have to load in the game again from your save and continue. That's how the things are going to go.
Yeah. character death is a game over screen, and mission failure you have to live with the consequences, and that'll have a
Yeah,
ripple effect in the story.
yeah. So the game won't fail once you finish. I mean, once you fail the mission. So be careful.
Right.
So you can save before
Don't
you
mess
go on a mission. I mean, some people do that. I don't know. It's like I'm not saving. Like even if I do save, it's gonna be for, let's say, if the game doesn't crash. But it's like if I make a mistake, screw it. It's my
Yeah, yeah.
consequences. I mean, it
Well,
is
that's
what
the
it
whole
is.
point of role playing, right? If you
Yeah.
could go back in time and change everything, that it's kind of defeats some of the purpose of it.
True.
Mhm.
Absolutely
absolutely.
true. Alright. Now. There were some other questions. Do mods only work on PC? I mean, Bethesda was able to implement them, right, on consoles through the.
Well, just on Xbox,
Oh.
PlayStation didn't play. They didn't play ball as much. There were some mods that you could do, but you could only change existing things. So like, so you could only take an asset from one side of the game and use it in another section of the game. So that's not a lot. If you're wondering how many mods that is not a lot. That is a very very micro amount. Um, but when you're looking instead at like, modding, it's like you can add in brand new stuff, and you can do that on the Xbox and the obviously the PC. So yeah, it's a little bit different, tiny little bit different, but yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Will the apartments change as you continue the story? Well, you're probably gonna be able to add stuff. We saw that you can add weapons to the
Right, yeah.
the weapon wall, but everything else we'll see how it goes. Rewards probably some things, But yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think they said some small little tidbit customization, but nothing too substantial. And obviously, based off your life path, your apartment will be decorated a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suspect that is one of those things that will probably show up in the game at some point.
Yeah.
Especially for modding. I suspect strongly that somebody will start making houses and apartments and stuff like that. And I also suspect strongly that because they originally had a system in which you could buy different apartments and move and do different things, but they ran into some issues with that. There's a good chance that a good chunk of that stuff is still buried in the code somewhere. It depends on where it was added in, how it was added in, how far they got. There are some things there are some games where they ship it and they just leave the stuff buried in there. Bethesda is a great example of this. There's so much cutting room content, content that's left on the cutting room floor, that you can make enormous mods out of all of that stuff and have it be done really, really well. Like, it's so good that it looks like it's part of the original game, and it flows just really, really spectacularly. And all you're using is the stuff that they've just left buried in files that just were never accessed. So that's interesting.
It is. We'll see. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of code digging as soon as people get their hands on the files. Ooh.
Someone please make a VR mod, like a really good one, so we all have an excuse to buy some headsets, and we never have to live a day of our lives again. I'm just kidding.
Preferably the
Seriously.
Steam one. The Viking Sock, we're going to be talking about Piranha Bytes, but this is not a place and time for it. This is about Cyberpunk, but don't worry. Mauricio, in this interview, Philip said about voice customization. Did he, though? I think he didn't.
As far as I know, it's just one voice actor per gender, per
body type.
Body type.
It's not really gender.
Yeah.
Okay. Body type, my bad. And then per language.
I mean, and you kind of have to do this, right, in order to have the story flow, in order to really make emotional scenes. Now, I do like the systems that are starting to show up more often, where they have like 3 or 4 different ones that you can pick. But typically those games, again, you don't have a ton of dialogue. You have like a smaller amount because every time you do that, you're doubling your budget on your main actors for your game. If it's a lot of back and forth, like Fallout 4 was an enormous amount. The that Red Dead Redemption 2, that guy spent 3 years working on it. No, 3 or 4 years doing audio lines, almost almost every day. Like not every day, but like Monday, Thursday, Friday. He's in there doing recording basically, and it's huge, and that is a considerable risk that some actors have to take. There are some actors, they work on a major project for like 2-3 years and they don't get exposure during that time because they're working on that main project, and sure, it pays the bills, but it's not getting you out to the things that you need to get the things to, and that's a little bit more difficult, and you have to that is something that is a little problematic for the industry, which is why the voice actors did go on a strike, and they tried to like get a little bit better response with that. So and I think that's fairly a fairly decent way of like expecting that they get compensated, because sometimes they didn't even know the project that they were working on, and they wouldn't even be able to get the credit for the project because of all the secrecy involved. But because of all the secrecy involved, you had a bunch of people who were essentially working on these projects for money, but not getting their name out there, not being able to say, hey, I worked on this project, I was the lead voice on this, I was the lead voice on that. And that, I mean, if you're in that profession, that's your bread and butter. Like, sure, you can have a job, but if it doesn't pay anything and you can't do anything, you can't go anywhere, that's not good. You're just going to be tied down to a project, and you'll never be able to leave it, and or get the credit for it, and have people go, oh yeah, I remember you, and then just be able to work off of that. It doesn't work that way, and it's very not healthy, I think. So
Yeah.
It's a worthwhile system, and I know a lot of voice actors and actresses who work very, very hard on their craft, and they are very good at what they do, and they deserve the chance of having their stuff put out there. Just wait until you hear female V. She's gonna blow your socks off.
Yeah. True. I agree with that. Especially Mass Effect did the same thing. No matter the what character creates, it's still the same voice for male and female. I mean, different for male and female, but predefined one, and it still worked. So yeah. So regarding other stuff, we had the Gamescom awards, and I've been going through it. So Cyberpunk won the best Sony PlayStation game. There.
Yeah, I found that very odd. It was like nominated for like
And
how many
then
different categories? 6,
nothing
right?
else. Best Microsoft game. Tell me why. Okay. Best action game, Star Wars Squadrons. That's what it was nominated in. Best action adventure game, Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, just whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. We'll see. But yeah, it is what it is. Now, other things, and we're not gonna be going into this, guys, because it's the judge's decision. I mean, it's not ours to. We'll see. We'll see once the game is out. But they also talked a little bit about Borg weapons. That was actually a very cool thing.
Yeah, I love that point.
Yeah, because so Borg weapons are gonna be weapons specifically made for people who have augmentations. If you don't have enough strength, you pick up the weapon, you fire it, you're gonna be blown away, literally to the ground.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I mean, why not? Why not?
I'm
But,
definitely gonna make my character more strength oriented just because of that. That sounds awesome.
just imagine the power on that weapons. Did we see one though? Besides, I think, could the weapon on Adam Smasher be considered? Well, I mean, yeah, it's part of his suit.
Probably, yeah.
He has a weapon integrated into his suit. I didn't even see it.
I would suspect he has several.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't have a specific switch. We didn't see like a specific switch to Borg weapons, but I kind of want to see one.
Yeah, I'd like to see that
There's
because
an
like
old, there's another old saying. There's an old saying that the military has. Why build one super weapon for, the regular price when you can build 3 of them at triple the price? So that's kind of how that works off of the, how they function as like any weapons creator is always going to look at it and say, we could make this at this regular price, but what would be really cool is if we just made it for made more of them, and then that way we have so many more of them to use.
Mhm. Have we ever seen a recoil? I mean, obviously, in the beginning of a lot of RPGs and just even shooters in general, there's recoil patterns that are quite aggressive,
No.
especially in games like Valorant or CS:GO and stuff like that. But have we seen any animations where you're shooting the weapon actually launches you to the ground or making you hit a wall or something like that? I don't think I've ever seen that.
We haven't seen it in game. We saw a little bit of recoil during that new B-roll footage when V enters the warehouse and the guy starts shooting. And I mean, it was on a controller though, so it's a bit difficult to see.
Yeah.
But once V actually started firing the weapon, it actually was really hard for the guy to move the weapon to the left, to pan the weapon a bit. So I guess so. I mean, I like recoil, I like patterns. I don't like
Hmm.
when weapons fire randomly in that sense.
Yeah. But this makes it seems like it's gonna shoot you to the ground, like physically to the ground,
Mm.
and you know what I mean? Not
Yeah,
just have that incredible kickback of
yeah.
the recoil, which is I don't think I've seen that in a obviously that would be a horrible element of a multiplayer shooter, but
We didn't actually, no. I'm
mm,
trying to remember if some FPS games did that.
no, I
I
don't think so.
can't remember
Trying to
right now.
visualize what that would look like.
Recoil is one of those things that games just do not get right. Like bunny hopping and sideways strafing, you know, tactics and shooters. It's like it's great. Yeah, you try firing any of those weapons whilst you're jumping up in the air. It's not going to go over very well.
True that, true that.
I mean, the law missiles, um, those things have an enormous kickback on the back side, and I've seen people like on the range, like they thought they were 6 feet, 7 feet back. They thought they were fine. Boom! They get hit in the groin with a giant piece of steel. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't usually end very well for them that way.
Oh,
But and that's the injuries that are not life threatening. There's way more that are extremely life threatening than that.
s-
So
I
Yeah,
mean that's
true.
not a very good mental image.
nope.
It's life-threatening for your future generations, for sure.
Well, have you ever seen them fire? It's like
Yeah, I have actually.
there's
Yeah.
it's basically an explosion at both ends of it. It's why there's also a bad habit, which is really funny because I've seen videos of this where people fire it backwards and they fire the law missile behind them.
Oh my god.
They take out their own encampment with the
Oh.
missile that they're aiming at like oncoming forces. Is one of the funniest, saddest, most horrifying things you can ever see on. Yeah, definitely
Hmm.
funny depending on what side you're on, but yeah.
That's why I say to people, safety first, guys. Wait, safety first. Everything else
Learn,
later.
learn how to use your weapon for crying out loud.
That's the most important thing that you learn. The first lesson, the most important one. Then comes everything else. All right. Now, we can't talk about real life weapons on YouTube. Can't talk
Oh
about
Oh,
yeah.
anything.
but I'm talking about them from what's a good game that has it? Jagged Alliance 2. There we go. Jagged Alliance. Yes, Jagged Alliance 2. Same thing. Actually, yes. In Jagged Alliance 2, if you're firing a law rifle or a law missile launcher and you have a character standing directly behind the character who's firing it, that character actually can get hurt. They can actually get killed if it hits them the right way.
With some game, sorry.
It was Jagged Alliance 2
Ah,
actually they actually had the proper like back and forth fire, and you could seriously hurt your own team by accidentally firing the weapon, having the exhaust port go backwards, and the people behind the person who's firing the weapon would take damage. So, yeah, that's actually a very accurate depiction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So two things that I see here in the comments. So multiplayer will be, like, it will be happening. Not soon. Of course, they want to focus on single player first. Get one expansion, maybe two out. We don't know the plan, like the exact plan yet. But they're going to be working on multiplayer. We don't know what multiplayer is going to be. Philip did touch on that. He was asked about multiplayer, and he said there's only a few people working on the multiplayer right now. Everyone else is busy with the single player. So I'm guessing right now they might be going through some ideas, or they may be setting up the framework, the system, the networks, the servers, everything, which is going to be extremely important for this game to run. Obviously, we don't know how the thing is going to be, but I was thinking a bit, because I recently got back into GTA RP, and I've been thinking, like, it would be really cool to have something like this in Cyberpunk, to actually have people role-playing, because it would be such, a core thing to Cyberpunk, with different roles, I guess, with some being corporates in the city, some being, I don't know, street kids, gangsters, whatever, some being police officers, psycho squad, like, I don't know, that kind of sounds intriguing for me.
Yeah, and they've mentioned they want to make it like deeply embedded into the lore, so it's not going to be some surface level team deathmatch shooter. It's going to be more along the lines of that, I'd imagine.
Especially because to what extremes people go with the role playing. So imagine that experience in the game with like proximity voice.
Oh yeah.
That would be so good. I don't know if people agree, but yeah. And there was a second thing. No, the podcast is not over. We just kind of started. We're gonna be going for a little bit. Don't worry.
Isaac, you might have muted your stream.
I have.
Turn the volume. No, I'm talking to Isaac. Isaac in the chat. He says, "Why is no one talking?" You might have muted your YouTube window. Oh, sorry.
No,
we're good. We're good.
A person who actually answers questions. Well, she is busy at the moment, and I mean, we try to answer as many comments as we can. If we miss some, we obviously apologize, but of course, we cannot answer every question. We are happy.
I've answered that twice in chat also, so.
Yeah, so
like
we
physically typing it.
Yeah. Trying to find what was the second thing about people were discussing.
Night City Wire 3, I think, was a common question.
Yeah. So next Wire, October, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, it's October.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well,
yeah. It's only been 2 weeks since the last one.
Yeah, maybe
there was a 6-week gap between.
Like if they were gonna get 4 of them in, mid-late September, then mid-late October. Yeah, and then you've got the game dropping, shortly after that. So.
Yeah, true. There is an in-game stock market. Well, I don't think it's gonna be a thing at the moment because that UI actually gets removed from you once you are fired from Arasaka after the prologue. So yeah.
It's also one of those things where it's like, I mean, that's a really hard thing to program into the game to make it like a permanent feature, because it's so easy to make enormous amounts of money off of things like that.
Yeah.
Like it is really easy to make just vast amounts of money for whatever game that you're doing. Yeah. So
true.
Apparently, the latest Gamescom tweet, Cyberpunk won the best role-playing game award on the main thing.
Let me see.
So.
Whoa.
Better.
Nice. We're getting there. Slowly beginning.
Not that they needed any more awards. They already have 350 or 400 at this point, pre-launch. So I mean.
That's always crazy. But yeah, someone was asking, yes, of course, judges play the game. I mean, they have to. They cannot make decisions without playing the game. So yeah, if you're a judge, you get to watch films first. You get to play the games first. I mean, why not? I think yeah. Best role-playing game goes to Cyberpunk. That has been tweeted out right now. And I guess, did they say overall of the entire?
This is overall, yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's picking up. They just said it's gonna be also in the role-playing category. It won the best RPG. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Let's see. How come you expert 2017 analysis aren't talking about a potential secret Mox character in the lore book on page?
Page 169.
You had me up until or Chris Brown being a possible NPC. You had us in the first half there, Tim.
See, I'm sitting here trying to take this seriously, going over the book on where does he talk?
Well, there is a character with like a black piece of tape or something over her face, which was like super weird, but
Yeah.
They added Tape Face to the game. Oh,
Wow.
he's one of the best
I think
ever.
I think it's because that character had a likeness to somebody in real life. She looks like identical to somebody in real life. I don't know if that was intentional or not or whatever, but yeah.
For those of you who got the Tape Face reference, you have good taste in comedy.
Well, Tim, we're gonna have you to explain anyway. You are the new expert on Cyberpunk, my friend. Can we use a tank? I mean, there are tanks, but come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Again, not sandbox, RPG. I mean,
Oh, there you go. This famous IG model with Slickwood. Sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. Tanks, maybe. I don't know. Maybe for certain story elements, right? We're gonna be able to ride in some of the big AVs and stuff like that for story, for narrative purposes.
Yeah.
With another person driving it, so maybe we can be a passenger. I don't know if nomads have tanks.
I wouldn't mind.
Maybe.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't mind. But, you know, I don't think so. I don't. We'll see. We'll see. Like, it depends how crazy it actually go with the game, because some games let you, some don't. But yeah. Venus Gate, thank you for $5. Who is your waifu going to be in Cyberpunk? Well, personally, for me, it's going to be Quadra. But I don't know about Sib and Neon.
Who are our waifus gonna be? Was that the question?
Yeah.
My pistol. My weaponry.
What was the name of that gun? The Slotomatic?
The Slotomatic.
Why you gotta assume that we're gonna have a waifu? Why can't you assume that I'm going to be the waifu in the game?
The plot thickens.
Mind blown.
Oh my god. Yeah,
I mean, we haven't seen too many NPCs. There's like 3 to pick from at this point. So I don't think anybody can commit so early. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. As I said before, like, I'm not much into romance in video games. I will do it in this game because of the amount of effort it went into, because it's not gonna be some optional thing. It's actually gonna be tied with the game, because of course you're gonna get some info. And we have Quadra in the background again. Sorry about that. It's like I'm close to F1 track, but it's okay. It's crazy.
I saw one of the best. I think I mentioned it the other week. I saw one of the best videos ever, and it's basically what people with loud engines think everybody else thinks when they roll through. And it's always like, you know, there's a bunch of guys just hanging around in their room, and then they hear that, and they run to the window and they start clapping and cheering, like, wow, woo, you go, woo, yeah, woo, you're so cool, oh my god. They're calling up their mom going, oh, I saw a beautiful sight today, it was so awesome. The guy he was just going somewhere, it was so cool. I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm not being insulting. You like cars, that's your thing. You like bikes, that's your thing. That's good. That's cool too. But just so you know, the rest of us don't think you're awesome when you roll through a neighborhood with an extremely loud muffler just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing is this is not the neighborhood though. This is the city. But I have a really nice surround system in these hills. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Someone coughs on the street and I hear it. Oh my god. No, actually, I can actually hear the people because there's a huge shopping mall below me and people gather on the parking. And sometimes if they speak like loudly and I'm on my window, I can literally hear what they're talking. That's annoying.
Any interesting conversations you've overheard?
Absolutely
Any plots
not.
to kill
Absolutely not.
assassination plots?
No.
Sure.
We already talked about NCV October. In my opinion, we don't know. We don't know when it's gonna be. But yeah. And there is one thing that we haven't covered, but Spocko, they came out.
Hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sib, I think Sib has a lot of things to say about this one.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, I still don't know if it's their, like, we still don't know for sure if this is the only mobile app that they're working on.
Yeah.
We had heard quite a while that they were working on something, and we're still hearing rumors that they're working on stuff. And this does tell us what Spocko is doing. Doesn't tell us what some of the other places and some of the other missing staff are doing. But yeah, no, and we had figured it had something to do with horror, or at least like horror element, and we kind of see that now because that was what was being hired for, was people who can do like atmospheric stuff. And I mean, you look at the trailer and I mean, it's clearly that's what they're going for. And that's really cool. So it's a basically Witcher Go thing, I guess. So, be prepared to have people putting down lures to lure, joggers into, or players into areas where they then, proceed to, take their stuff.
Yeah, be careful. Be careful where you go hunt.
Be careful when you're out hunting. Somebody might be hunting you, and it might turn into the most dangerous game ever.
What do you overall think? I think it's a really nice idea, though. I mean, it's not something I expected, but I think it's a really neat idea, to try out. We'll see how it does, of course. But,
Yeah, it looks like Pokemon Go with like significantly more narrative elements to it, because you can like actually go up to. There was like a screen where you can actually go up to NPCs and they got the like traditional question over their head. So that's gonna be really interesting.
and quests
Yeah.
and everything.
It's very interesting to see where this is going from, because this is like, they're certainly taking it one step more than anything that's been done before, and they're certainly like implementing a lot of really cool stuff into it. And I do wonder if they've put a lot of the how they place these or where they place these, or exactly how this is going to work. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly like how this plays in and what exactly they're going to be doing. And I'm really excited for this. I'm also one of my big reasons for not liking the ARGs was what I already said. It's great to encourage people to get out and walk around and do stuff, and that's very healthy, and I really like that. But then you enter this problem with battery power, battery life, and then encouraging people to hey, if I just walk down this dark alleyway with my full concentration on my cell phone instead of where I'm walking, I'm definitely not going to walk into anything that's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, bad things can happen everywhere.
I know, but I'm just saying it's an interesting concept, and that I'm really interested to see how they've done this, because I think Pokemon had to shift a lot of what they were doing. They had to make it so that you didn't necessarily encounter those problems, because they were also flooding certain areas. People were getting this suddenly thousands of people were hanging around outside these random businesses and stuff, and people were like, "Why are you here?" "Oh, we're here chasing Pokemon." What? there's one there, and there's a whole bunch of people pointing over there, and the person without the cell phone is just standing there looking absolutely like mystified and confused and really weirded out. Like, I don't understand what's going on. It's like did you walk into some sort of Twilight Zone, or are all these people high? I don't know.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? Someone said like you're walking around and you see another guy playing the game and you're like, wanna play Gwent? Like in theory, like obviously those things.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, but in theory it's amazing. Like it's so
Yeah.
good. I mean, Pokemon Go had the same, obviously, the idea. I love that idea. I mean, obviously, people took it to extremes. Like, I've been reading some crazy stories. People going to those electrical grids. Like, don't approach that. Don't. Not even close.
I was heading home during the Pokemon Go phase. I was heading home from I don't remember where it was from, but I stopped over at because they had the Pokemon stops, right?
Yeah.
I says you just go there to collect your daily goodies or whatever. So I stopped over at this gas station. I think it was closed or whatever, but there was a Pokemon station there, and I had a cop come up to me and he was like asking me what I was doing. I was like, yeah, just playing some Pokemon Go, officer. Not doing anything sketchy. So yeah, it was a very interesting time period for the gaming culture.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people were confused.
Such an influence too, which is, like I said, it's very cool that this was a thing and that this is had evolved this way. Excuse me, but it's also very bizarre at the same time. And I do like the concept. I do like the concept of getting having a reason to like get up and walk around and stuff like that. But it's still one of these things where it's like I'm mostly on board. I'm not 100% on board. I'm mostly on board. I'm not negative or against it. It's just I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out how they're going to do it. So I'm very excited to see exactly how they're going to roll this out, and then how it'll work and how it'll function, and then how much like one of the things that I like about the concept is like it's great, but I am curious as to how or in what ways they're going to allow for like is there going to be character customization? They have that a little bit in Pokemon, but yeah, it's an interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how they approach some of this stuff.
Definitely. We'll see.
Maybe it's a small market test for a first-person Witcher because it looks like it's in first person. I'm just kidding. Don't get out the pitchforks yet, guys.
Yeah, that wouldn't work properly. Definitely. Yeah. Sponsored by Arasaka. Yes, we're actually sponsored by Arasaka. We were approached by someone. Yeah, some people actually assume this was a real company. Like, oh, you sold out.
Really?
Yeah, someone's like saying some of the last. One guy was, this a real company? Like, is this, where can I find it? I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's just an in-game stuff, But yeah, Arasaka is everywhere. We're watching. This is a test to see who's going.
If they are real, we're not. If they are real, we're not getting our check. So Arasaka better send that over.
Yeah, like we need that.
One of the things that you should check out if you have the chance, check out MadQueen's video on Arasaka lore. It's one of the funniest endings to her videos that she's ever done. And it's really just spot on, perfect, very, very funny. Oh Lord, so good.
Yeah, basically everything which is happening in the cyberpunk world is because like Saburo had a huge influence on like the story and everything. Like every move they do, it's like it has a ripple effect through the entire world. Like just look at the Fourth Corporate War. Yeah. So he's gonna be a very interesting character. Maybe he approached us. Maybe. But. We'll see how it is in the game. I'm sure there is going to be people who pledge allegiance to Arasaka, and I'm actually looking forward to all the out-of-the-box playthroughs, Like, seriously, just finding the craziest stuff you can do in the game. Like, craziest, like complicate the game even further to yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, typically RPGs aren't overly entertaining to watch on live streams and stuff like that. At least
Yeah.
that's what I find. But I feel like this one is gonna be like every time you watch somebody, they're gonna be in a completely different kind of environment, and they're gonna
Hmm.
have different, they're gonna be down a different path, and it's gonna be super interesting in that sense.
Mm. I agree. I agree, definitely. I think this is gonna be a fun thing to just. I mean, you can also see like what other people do, like what other decisions they made, where it led them, and even if you like want to have
Hmm.
that decision, it doesn't necessarily mean it will happen depending on how far in the game like this person was and etc. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to, like just
Yeah.
the differences that people are gonna have.
I'd love to see someone try to map out every single path, or like at least get a, kind of an idea for it, because
No.
obviously it would take forever. But even getting a little hint.
It took
Uh,
me it took me 80 hours to develop um, the concept that I had behind the Fallout 4 ending, where you get all the factions um, in a state of basically peace
mhm.
in the vanilla, obviously the vanilla release. How to get them all functioning and working together, or at least not killing each other. Because typically, what I found is that there was some aggression modifiers that would pop in when you completed certain quests, and then when the Brotherhood came across the other factions, they just start shooting, and everybody would start shooting. Um, versus when playing through it, and meticulously going through it and doing it one way, then they actually fight together, and then once they're done fighting together, then they leave, and they're not shooting at each other, or like attacking each other and whatever. And
Mm.
so it's, yeah, that's really, that's an interesting concept, and something that I really enjoyed, obviously, in that game, because I thought that was something of, I really enjoyed that concept. So
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, true. What about boats? Says Demolition. We're not gonna be able to drive them. I think Miles talked about that. He said there's gonna be some missions on it, but we won't be able to drive them. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But you can swim. You can swim. That's okay. But there's not
Mhm.
gonna be that much content underwater. It's just there to kind of fill the scenery, I guess. You cannot have Night City without the ocean, the water.
Yeah.
So
They didn't
yeah.
want you to jump out into the ocean and just be hit with the black screen and like revert it to a save point, because that kind of like strips you out of the experience,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which
yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. True.
there's just mostly not very much there to actually explore.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and for the most part, I think that that's fine. Um, it's a little disappointing, right? It's a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, it's like, well, you know,
Or maybe they're just saying that and they're hiding a lot of goodies down there.
oh, true.
You never know.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. For me personally, I don't know. Not much of a disappointment. I would maybe like have one or two hidden stuff, maybe a little bit more underneath, just for the sake of a little bit exploration. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, I didn't see much potential. I mean, obviously, underground could be good, the sewers and everything, but going to the ocean. And also from the lore perspective, after the Fourth Corporate War and during the time of the Red, they were actually dumping all of the stuff and radioactive material into the ocean next to Night City because, why, logic. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
also one one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right into the bay. I'm not sure if we'll even see any sort of aquatic life there,
No, I don't think so.
assuming. Yeah.
They destroyed that long time ago, and I really like the quote that was in that PlayStation magazine from one of the devs. I do apologize that I can't remember every single name. I think what's it name, Pavev or something like that. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Mielnichuk.
Mielnichuk,
Yeah,
yes. I think.
yeah. And I think he said that they're not actually trying to look at this world and say like this is like they're making this world in in the future, but they're just going for that what if people continue to destroy nature and everything and corporations took power. That's basically what the story is about, is what if that happens, potentially what things can occur. And this is not something new. This has been written in 1989 by Mike Pondsmith and the Talsorian. So they're basically continuing his vision, obviously with their own little twists and turns, but it's the vision of the world Mike Pondsmith actually created. So of course, yes, there is commentary on our society, but as he also said, they're not gonna force anything down your throat, which I extremely respect. They're gonna lay it out in front of you, and you take your conclusions, your own conclusions from that world, what you see. So yeah.
Yeah, and there, I mean, there's always similarities, and there's always, darn it, the word, an allegory to certain content, certain written stuff. But very rarely is it a, it's not always meant to be a direct correlation. And I remember one argument I was having with somebody we were talking about like a fairly like public issue in today's world. And I'm going, well, this doesn't work because, here's my reasonings for it. And then their reasonings are for, well, excuse me, I watched this show and it seems to work just fine there. I'm like, are you pulling your real world scientific data from a TV show based in a magical universe? Yes, I don't see why we just can't do that. Are you joking or is this serious? Because if it's serious, you have a serious problem. That you're trying to correlate real world science with magic from a TV show. Like, somebody's got to give you a long conversation about something. So, yeah, there's always that you encounter. But that's not what this is supposed to be, and I think that's fine because I think then that it speaks to you on a personal level. And I had somebody doing some character research for a video game, deciding what faction and what thing that they wanted to deal with, and there was a quote from this character, and it was a really nice, very solid quote, and they were basically in tears because it was such a good quote and it's such a good thing, and the moral lesson of it was very valid. And that's fine. Like you could pull morality from a bunch of different stuff. And this was clearly an attempt to like try to like understand that from that kind of a perspective. So yeah, interesting.
All right, true. What else was there? Yeah, we were talking also about salt water and metal. But as I quote Miles, and he said that people probably found a way to stop water to seal the metal parts in 2077. So we're good.
Yeah.
We're good on that end. We're kind of going in too deep. But yeah.
I mean, you have phones that you can take up to 30 feet underwater at this point, right? And so I'm sure they found a way.
I mean, you also have to take a shower. I mean, there is no much logic to have a metal arm and for it to short circuit.
Yes.
True. Imagine having an augmented attack cat.
That sounds like suicide. Convoluted way of... Okay. Yeah.
Imagine an augmented attack cat, Ken Gibson in the chat. That is probably the best idea that I've heard all week. That is a seriously good idea.
We'll call him Rowdy. He's gonna have lasers. But yeah, so far, obviously we're excited because the game is not going to be delayed further as of yet. The countdown is going down, so we're definitely coming there. November is we're getting into September. Tuesday is gonna be 1st of September, so yeah, we're getting there, guys. Don't worry, we're so close.
80 days, right? 81 days, something like that.
Yeah, we were never this close actually to release. Every time it was delayed.
91. Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, it is what it is. Now, I think we pretty much covered all of the topics we had for this week. It was a good one. We'll see what the next week brings when it comes to news and stuff. I'm sure there could be some, but at the same time, we had the PlayStation Magazine, we had Gamescom, so it depends.
Yeah, there will be some keep your ear to the ground on this one. I suspect that there were a number of interviews that happened over the weekend that are going to be timed releases, right? This is something that happens at pretty much every convention. So we're probably going to have a couple of write-ups and a couple of interviews posted over the next week or two that were filmed or done or were put together kind of during this weekend. That's how it works normally. Now, because it wasn't mostly online and there were some industry people there, how that all shakes out, we don't quite know yet. It's 2020. Life is weird.
Extremely weird. But we'll get through it, guys. Don't worry. Keep your hopes up. Don't go too much into negativity, everyone in your home. These things will pass, and it's gonna be great. And at the same time, at least we have gaming to keep us over, So that's actually amazing. Imagine this happened like 1700s. You can just look through the window, look stare into a wall.
Well, I'm sure that's what they were doing anyways in 1700s. I'm sure that was like their main source of entertainment is watching paint dry and stuff like that.
Oh, main source of entertainment was not dying every day from starvation.
Yeah.
True.
Like I had some. I'm gonna throw this in. Somebody was talking the other day. It's like, I don't understand these things where people say that 100 years ago people lived on less than $1 a day. How they buy their breakfast sandwiches? It's like, oh my. They didn't buy breakfast. They didn't buy anything. They had to grow it or make it. If you didn't get the food in for the week, you were dead. Like, this is how that worked.
That's the most American question I've ever heard. Breakfast sandwiches in particular, huh? Jesus.
Oh boy.
It's like it's just it's so funny. It really is. It's very quite funny.
I'm just gonna go through some of the rest of questions that that I missed. I can't remember who actually posted. So the first one was, okay, this is the one Tim says about Braindance into VR. Honestly, yeah, we would all love it, but so far that it's not gonna happen, at least for years to come. But in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if CDPR would consider making a VR game. I wouldn't be surprised. Depends on what it is, and even if it is, I think it would be something close to Cyberpunk, or maybe their other IP, such as the Witcher. And the other question was about difficulty. Well, I personally like to play on hardest difficulties, mostly because I like to learn about the mechanics that the game has to offer, and I believe the stronger the enemies are, the more they push you to use those mechanics that developers created. I think that's the best. I don't know.
100%. Yeah, it's a much more rewarding experience. I started The Witcher 3 on Death March the other day, and I'm enjoying it a lot more, to be honest. So,
yeah, difficulty is good for as long as there are systems in the game that allow you to go and pass a certain objective. The worst thing for me is if the game is difficult, and if the game design at the same time, if it has bugs and glitches that basically don't allow you to go further, not because of your skill, but because the game, that's a game design flaw. But I like difficult and challenging games that have amazing elements in it, like potion creation, oils, whatever that you need before a fight.
yeah,
So,
it really forces you into those elements that they've crafted for you, right? And on the regular difficulties, you don't really even have to do that. You can just mechanically brute force your way to everything.
Yeah. I really like that, especially for an RPG. I think that will be good. But yeah, right. I think we pretty much covered everything. So I want to next week. Any specific plans? Planning to upload something, guys?
I'm streaming the Nvidia event on the 1st just because I have a suspicion that we might see something Cyberpunk related. If not, we'll probably get some RTX screenshots or something like that. Potentially. But anyway, it's gonna be cool to watch that anyways, and then just business as usual, lore and news.
Yeah. Sip.
Pretty much just the same thing. We're going to be trying to cover some more info here and there. Ash is going to be very interesting about this Nvidia event. So yeah, this is good.
Yeah. Okay. Regarding me, next week you're gonna be getting some lore videos. Next week, actually, I'm going full on ahead. Sorry everyone for the lack of uploads over the past few days. Some things transpired. Nothing too crazy. Just been busy. But next week we're gonna have more videos, lore explainer. We'll see how things unfold, especially because Sib said we're gonna be having Q&As and stuff with the dev team. So of course, if someone posts that, we're gonna be analyzing and talking about it. So don't worry. Every single link to all of us, to our Discord, to Twitter, to YouTube, not Twitter. Sorry, I have to add that. But yeah, you can just check us out there, subscribe, and yeah. Hopefully everyone enjoyed this week. And regarding Mad Queen, she is probably coming back next week.
She did post a video. If you are fans of her and you want to know kind of what's been going on, she posted a video up just a few hours ago. If you're not fans and there's no, it's not a drama thing.
Yeah.
If you're not fans, then you probably, she mentioned herself that she'd rather you don't watch it because you won't have a lot of context for what's going on. And but yeah, it's something. If you need to, if you ever find yourself kind of like having difficulty and not being easily understood, go check it out because it's a good thing. Leave a positive response. So that's been very helpful to her. So check that out.
So we're sending her love from the stream. Everyone is. She's gonna be here soon.
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Sending the good vibes.
Positive vibes to everyone. So everyone, please keep the vibes positive. There is no need to be negative. The world is already negative enough. Sit back, relax a bit, enjoy. Some things you can't change, some things you can. If you can change it, obviously no need to be worried about it. If you cannot change, then why be worried about it? You cannot change the thing. So yeah, that's just my way of thinking.
That's a good way of thinking.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's life. All right, so next week it's going to be on Triple S League, I believe.
I
think so.
I thought it was
Is this supposed to be on yours, Dion?
Is it mine?
Yeah, it's yours.
Everyone.
We're so organized.
Oh my god.
Then Mad Queen, then Last Known.
This is brutal. We're. Are we stupid? I think we
no,
might be.
no, look. So last week we had Mad Queen. The stream went down and I took over. So I'm this week, and I know.
Back up.
And then it's you, Sib, because last time I took a break after my stream. Then it was your week. So it's Triple S.
So Cyb, Mad Queen, then me, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
It's Cyb, you, and then Mad Queen.
Okay. All right. We'll figure it out.
Well, you'll get notified. Don't worry. All right. So thank you everyone for coming in every single week. We really appreciate the support, the likes, even the dislikes. Look, it is what it is. It's criticism. We accept it. Don't worry. All right.
It's engagement.
Yeah, it is. And bye everyone, and stay classy.
See you guys.
Goodbye.